Few figures in Hollywood history carry the same level of trust and admiration as Dick Van Dyke. For more than 70 years, he represented warmth, optimism, and decency, becoming a symbol of what American entertainment liked to believe it stood for. That is exactly why his private opinions about Hollywood's darkest stars feel so unsettling. According to people who worked closely around him, Van Dyke quietly identified several legendary actors whose off-screen behavior shocked even seasoned insiders. These were not just temperamental celebrities, but men whose cruelty, violence, and abuse of power stood in total opposition to the images audiences welcomed into their homes. What disturbed Van Dyke most was the enormous gap between public personas and private reality. Hollywood perfected image-making, turning flawed men into beloved heroes, comedians, and father figures. Behind closed doors, however, many of these stars ruled through fear, humiliation, and exploitation. Van Dyke, known for treating everyone with respect regardless of status, reportedly found this moral contradiction impossible to ignore.
Better, but you still have to get the Black & Decker to open you up. Oh yeah.
Jerry Lewis was one of the most painful examples. On screen, Lois appeared as pure chaos and joy, a childlike performer whose physical comedy made the world laugh. Behind the camera, stories painted a very different picture. Crew members described an environment built on intimidation, verbal abuse, and public humiliation. Women were often targeted, spoken to as objects, or ridiculed for minor mistakes. Van Dyke was reportedly stunned by how a man who projected innocence and generosity could be so deliberately cruel to those with less power. What troubled him most was that the cruelty seemed unnecessary, as if humiliation itself was part of the performance.
Say good night. Say good night to the gentlemen now.
Good night to the gentlemen.
That's right, now to these gentlemen.
Errol Flynn represented another disturbing contradiction. His heroic roles defined adventure and justice for an entire generation. Yet his private life was filled with allegations of sexual violence and predatory behavior. Although studios protected him and trials ended in acquittal, the stories never stopped. Van Dyke allegedly described Flynn as dangerous precisely because of his charm. His polished image did not restrain his darkness, it concealed it, allowing harm to continue unchecked.
With me on the radio, and I never heard him sing so beautifully. He had a quality, and his range seemed to him.
Crosby's case shook Van Dyke on a more personal level. Crosby's voice symbolized comfort, family, and American tradition. After his death, however, his sons revealed a home ruled by fear, physical punishment, and emotional neglect. A man who sang about warmth and belonging was, in reality, beating his children and demanding perfection without love. For Van Dyke, who cherished family life and treated his own children with care, this hypocrisy felt deeply disturbing.
Ribs and sauerkraut, and he never knew what.
Wallace Beery, famous for playing rough men with tender hearts, was reportedly feared behind the scenes. Accounts described violent outbursts, racism, and physical intimidation. Persistent rumors linked him to the fatal beating of comedian Ted Healy, an incident many believe studios helped bury. Beery's screen roles promised redemption, but in real life there was no hidden goodness, only unchecked brutality.
Tough. What do you do in Los Angeles, Mr.
Spencer Tracy presented a different kind of darkness. Revered for his acting and moral authority on screen, his alcoholism reportedly turned him violent and unpredictable off-screen. Studios excused his behavior because of his talent, quietly accepting the harm he caused. Van Dyke reportedly found this justification unacceptable, believing that brilliance should never excuse abuse. Finally, Kirk Douglas stood as one of the most troubling figures. Publicly celebrated for courage and integrity, he was privately accused by multiple women of predatory behavior. Allegations involving young actresses followed him for decades, protected by silence and power. Van Dyke's reported warning that Douglas was not someone you would trust alone with your daughter revealed just how serious those concerns were. Together, these stories expose a system that valued profit and prestige over human dignity. Van Dyke's career stands as proof that success never required cruelty. If you found this exploration of Hollywood's hidden darkness powerful, subscribe to Hollywood Bulletin, press the bell icon, and stay with us as we continue uncovering the truths behind the legends.